Welcome to a typical wrong trousers training session. In this video, we'll go through all the exercises we usually do during any training session we have on the water. In this training session, we were by ourselves, so the usual two-boat speed testing wasn't really an option. The day's conditions ranged from 12 knots all the way up to 29 knots in some of the gusts. The main objective in this session was just to get back in the boat and get back into the swing of things. We changed quite a lot of things on the boat, so we really just wanted to make sure that all of these were working properly and the boat was nice to sail. As well as this, our other big focus was our tacks. We really wanted to experiment with our turn rate and seeing if we could speed it up through our tacks, especially in the heavier winds. To start off this session, as we do with any other session, we do our favourite activity, loopies. This is an exercise that both Connor and myself used throughout our instructing careers in every group that we taught. It's a really easy exercise to do by yourself, and all you need for it is just one mark in the water. So the goal for good loopies is to get a nice even turn rate around a fixed point in the water. So it's one tack and one jibe around. This is always the exercise that we use to warm up, whether it's training or events. We usually have a specific focus that we want to focus on. So we may focus on continuous sheeting, boat trim, boat balance. It really just depends on the day. Because it was our first time in the fireball in nearly 2 months, we didn't really have a specific focus. We're just trying to keep it simple and keep the maneuvers nice and smooth. You'll notice that we really try and move our body weight in sync, just to help with the bearaways and flatten after each roll tack or roll jibe. One of the things that we were really looking out for is to try and not over flatten on some of the roll jibes, as we found it was quite easy to try and flatten the boat a bit early and just completely take the wind out of your sails. We usually aim to do about 10 loopies going clockwise and 10 loopies going anti-clockwise. Once the loopies are done, it's time to head out and do a proper session. Also, big shout out here to Darry in the workboat, who really wanted to be in this week's video. Because the main focus of this session was our tacks and upwind, we decided to go on a bit of a downwind just to get some space for a big upwind, as the breeze was an offshore breeze. So we had a nice little easy run just to make some space for ourselves. So neither myself or Connor have ever had training in a double-hander with a trapeze wire, so we're very much learning as we go here. The last time we were ever coached properly was when we were both in mirrors, aged 13 and 14. One of the important points that we're looking to improve in our tacks is trying to keep the boat flat going into the tack. So you can see as we prepared for this tack, we had quite a lot of leeward heel, so we just want to try and keep the boat flat and keep the speed as we prepare and go into the tack. Another key point that we were looking to improve in our tacks was getting back on the power as soon as possible once we've completed the tack. So that meant getting myself out in the wire and getting the jib back on really quickly to power the boat up. One of the things Connor was trying to improve on as helm was squeezing the main as we entered the tack, although unfortunately we actually couldn't get our sail flat enough to allow us to do this properly, and this was because we taped our GoPro in the complete wrong place, which meant we couldn't pull on nearly enough outhaul on the day that we were training. Connor's other main focus for the tacks was a progressive rudder with a hard push at the end. The idea behind this is so that when we exit our tacks, we'll be in a slightly lower mode so we can build speed and then come up to our higher pointing mode. We don't have any data to suggest that this is actually faster, but from our feeling it seems to be the best way forward. But we'd love to get people's opinions on it and let us know if it's right or wrong. During our session, this was probably the best tack that we had. Going into the tack, the boat was kept flat. This is due to the crew staying out on the wire and almost letting the boat come to them as they prepare to cross the boat during the tack. Another small detail that you'll notice is the jib stays on and backs slightly just after head to wind and then comes across nice and swiftly. We also exit the tack in a low mode, which allows us to build speed quite quickly. One of the big differences that you'll notice between the last tack and this tack is how far out the mainsail is. When we finish our tack, our mainsail is quite far out and we're not as powered up as we maybe should be. As with all good training sessions, we thought we'd go for a little capsize, just to make sure that we're trying hard enough. What happened here was, unfortunately, we caught the end of the boom in the water and it just completely dragged us over in a big gust. But alas, we continue. One of the big improvement points that we're looking to make over the next few weeks and months as we prepare for the season is for the crew to hold this jib sheet as we go into the tack and be able to adjust the jib going in and have a consistent release point for every tack. The reason for this is nicely demonstrated here, as during this tack we don't get the jib off in time and the boat just straight away capsizes, which is never a help when you want to try and win the race. While we're sorting ourselves out after this capsize, if you're enjoying the video, could you please drop a like and leave a comment down below of what type of boat you sail and where you sail from. Other things that we're looking to improve on over the next few months are being a bit more consistent with our tacks, so making sure that we squeeze the main in every time, and a slower roundup should help with this. Another thing we can look to improve on the consistency of is the slow progressive turn into the tack with a slight push at the end of the tack to help us come out with a slightly lower angle to help us get back up to speed after the tack. To finish off the session, we have a nice bearway here and a nice downwind leg back to the harbour. We haven't really started focusing on our kite training yet, so this is just really a big blast and seeing how much fun we can have while sailing back to shore. One of the things we really struggled with last year, especially in the breeze, was getting the boat to release on the tight reach legs. So if anyone has any tips on how to get a symmetrical spinnaker boat to release on a tight reach, do let us know down below in the comments. We hope you enjoyed the video and we'll see you again in the next one.